And I have very good news for you. The issue with the HDR black level raise in Diablo 4 has been addressed and it is now much better than before. Just much better because it is unfortunately still not completely resolved. Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. HDR black level raise in Diablo 4 was a very big issue. As you can see here, this was my recording from the open beta a couple of weeks or a couple of months ago. And yeah, HDR black level raise back then was actually, terrible. And here we have the recording from the current release, the server slam, what they call it today. And yeah, as you can see, it has significantly improved. Unfortunately, it's still not completely gone. There is still an issue with HDR black level raise, but I think even you wouldn't change the fine-tune dark area settings now or the brightness on your TV, it's actually playable. Not much has changed in terms of the HDR settings for Diablo 4. The game still does not support the HDR system level calibration on the console or the PC. We have HDR settings in the game and yeah, actually they're working pretty well. And first of all, we have the black point setting, and I would strongly recommend to leave this at the lowest setting if possible, because what I found is just with the lowest setting, I have actually the best experience on my OLED TV. And then we have the brightness setting, and this setting is responsible for the average picture brightness in this game. And I found the standard factory setting 250 fits my LG CX and the G2 actually perfectly in combination with HDHE, especially when you play in a complete dark room. And then of course we have the white point setting, which is the setting for the maximum peak brightness of your TV. Standard factory setting is 1000 and this is not a bad value to start with, but a little bit too much for the LG CX. But I have to admit that in this game I haven't seen many specular highlights so far, so if you would just leave it at 1000, you wouldn't destroy a lot because yeah, again, there is not much in terms of specular highlights. But again, for the LG CX, I would actually recommend to change this to around 850, 840. And yeah, for the LG G2, leave it at 1000. And yeah, for other TVs like the LG G3 or the S95C, it would be or should be around 13, 14, 1500 nits. And even the HDR black level issue has been addressed and it is now much better. It's still not resolved. So my recommendation right now is change, if you can, the fine-tune dark area setting to -8. But as always, keep in mind, if you like to use the fine-tune dark area settings, and this counts for the Xbox, PlayStation 5 or PC, you must enable VRR, verbal refresh rate. Otherwise, this setting has no impact at all. And if you can't or if you don't want to use the fine-tune dark area setting, then change the brightness on your TV to 47. But I would strongly recommend to use the FDTA setting because it just makes more sense. The FDTA setting is just changing the lower end from the gamma, but the brightness setting, if you change brightness, it will also affect the midtones. So and this was my recommendation for the consoles, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. And now we have to talk about the PC version. Because what I found is the PC version is unfortunately worse in terms of the HDR black level raise compared to the console version. But no panic at all, because it is also much better than before. Before we had to decrease the FDTA setting on the PC to around -25 or even -30 to have more or less proper OLED black, but now it is enough to decrease the FDTA settings to -16, or if you like to use the brightness setting, then try brightness 42 to 44. And you can see HDR black level raise is still a bigger issue or problem on the PC than on consoles, and that's not just in Diablo 4. This counts for many games, unfortunately. So I hope that at the end we have the PC version on the same level as the console version. But I mean, I would hope actually that we have no HDR black level raise at all. But to be honest, I have very little hope for that because many games suffering from HDR black level raise. But especially in a game like that, it is really bad because this game, it is a very dark game, and if they would integrate or implement HDR in the absolute correct way, this would have such significant improvement actually, because then we would have very, very nice shadow details and very great specular highlights. That means the contrast would be great. Right now it's a little bit of a it's okay, but maybe for some people SDR is the better solution, because you don't need to change a lot, because even the standard brightness setting in SDR is almost on the point. And nothing has changed in terms of recommendation for HDR10, Dolby Vision, HDRG, dynamic tone mapping on or off. At the end, it's your own preference. In terms of Dolby Vision versus HDR10, there is no Dolby Vision native support in this game, so that means don't expect a very big difference. The main difference will be most likely different picture settings on your TV, but because the game does not support Dolby Vision natively, there shouldn't be any difference. And at the end, it's your own preference. I'm more than happy with HDRG and with my recommended settings actually for the LGCX and G2. So all what I have done is actually I decreased the black point to the minimum. I left the brightness slider at 250 and I changed the white point for my CX or the G2. And of course, I decreased the fine-tune dark area settings to -8. Okay, my friends, so that's it for this video, and please keep in mind, as soon the game is officially released, I will do, of course, a HDR settings, HDR analyze video, because maybe something will change again. I hope, of course, I hope it will even be better, because right now it's, on the console it is okay, but the PC is really not in a great shape, in my opinion. So just talking about the HDR black level rays, of course, the rest in terms of specular highlights and stuff like that, it's exactly the same as on the console. Anyway, my friends, that's it for me. I say thank you very much, and I see you next time.